Morning, YouTube. I'd like to talk about the pocket guns for a little bit. Man, more and more at concealed carry classes, I see these little things showing up. And I don't have a large variety of them to play with. I do have my Kel-Tec. I carried this while I was on duty. I called this, this was my last option, my better than nothing gun. It is just that, a little bit better than nothing. I do carry it when I'm in a clothing limited position, but it isn't very often. I put a belt clip on it. I had slid this down in my belt behind my left cuff case. This was actually my left-handed option for a firearm. But these are not, and I had an older gentleman come to my last class who had bought the Ruger LCR, which is this gun with a different name on it, essentially. Excuse me, this guy has bought a Ruger LCR because he went to a pawn shop that just wanted his money. They weren't really, or I'm sorry, LCP. But he went to a pawn shop. His hands were arthritic. By the time the end of the day was over at the range, 50 rounds, he was bleeding. First thing he did was try and wrap his thumb up here. He was obviously a revolver shooter from way back, so he buys this little automatic. This got him. They got him with a gun that he should have never bought. But like I said, you can maintain the correct grip on one of these guns, but it can be difficult. It can be very hard. That 380, for having a small kinetic energy round, you really get a snap in these little guns. These are not light recoil guns because of the size. Here is going to be my replacement for it, the Kel-Tec. I like to feel this gun just a little bit better, and I like the sights. I'm still putting it through my tests on the range, trying to get it to fail. I like the fact that it has these cocking serrades up front and in the back, help you get hold of the slide. The sights on this Diamondback, I'm sorry, this is made by Diamondback. The sights on these two guns, with Kel-Tec being on the this is the Kel-Tec, that's the Diamondback. Obviously you can see the sights are much easier acquired on the Diamondback. Derringers. These are an option, obviously, for carrying. They're a limited option as far as round capacity. I mean, seriously, 2 rounds, 6 rounds. 380. It's actually a 9mm. I mean, you can get Derringer and everything up to including 45. Can't carry anything bigger than 45 in the state of Oklahoma. But I'm sure they make these things in larger calibers yet. Man, David at the gun store that I do a lot of teaching at sells a ton of these things. So they're out there. They're definitely out there. Nobody's ever bought one to a class yet, but every gun show he sells 10 or 15 of these things. So here's the only thing with the Derringers: you need to be careful. They are not very accurate. They're not easy to shoot. Finding bullet impact on these is going to be rather interesting. Now, that being said, for throw it in your pocket and have it gun, I guess they're not a bad option. I have never carried this. I never really intend to carry this. I actually only bought it, so I had one to bring to a class to show the people that had never seen what a Derringer is. I think, in all honesty, I've probably put 4, maybe 8 rounds through it. I took it to the range the day I got it. I think I shot it maybe 8 times and thought, oh, I had enough of that. These little Raven Arms, or Jennings, same thing. Little 25 automatics. You know, there's an old adage that says that shoot somebody with a 25, you're probably just going to piss them off. This gun was actually given to me because I used to make fun of it in classes, and a guy at lunch went home, brought it back, and he says, "This gun you're making fun of?" I said, "Yeah, that's it." He says, "Here, you can have this thing." I said, "Well, I don't know that I want to take your gun." He says, "I don't even have a magazine for it." And I don't have a magazine for it at all. But this is the last. How could you bet your life on an automatic that cost under $80 brand new, or under $100 brand new? You know, they're very unreliable, and I'm sure somebody's going to tell me, "I've had my Raven forever, and I've shot it and shot it and shot it and shot it." There are more reports of this thing coming apart and breaking and not working, and you know, if it's kind of like this, you're going to bet your life on it. If there's a string of parachutes that doesn't open from XYZ parachute, you know, 9 out of 10 people die. 9 out of 10 people tell you XYZ parachute sucks. Are you going to go buy a parachute from XYZ parachute? Now, the reason why I threw this up here, this is my primary carry option. I carry this gun. This is the Ruger LCR. I carry this, wow, 50, 60, 70% of the time. It's light, it's small. This is actually chambered in 357. The trigger on this new cam trigger that Ruger came out with is phenomenal as far as being able to keep sights on the target while you're pressing through that double action only trigger pull. The reason why I threw this up here is when you compare that 5-shot 357 revolver to some of these smaller little options, it's not that much bigger. I mean, it's really not. When you start truly talking about carry options, you know, it is a little bit wider with the cylinder, not all that much really. There is not too many situations where I can hide this and I couldn't hide that for a carry option. It's got a grip you can get a hold of. You can really get a hold of it, really, you know, manhandle it. You know, so when you're looking at options for concealed carry, you know, I know a lot of people, "Well, I'm not buying a wheel gun. Those are for old guys." Well, you know what? I want something that when I pull it out of the holster in a body alarm response situation, you know, that's why, you know, my primary carry guns for, you know, combat Glocks. No defeatable safeties. Pull it out, put sights on the target, press the trigger, repeat as necessary. This revolver, pull it out, put the sight on the target, press trigger, repeat as necessary. Reloads, very quick and effective on this gun. I carry full moon clips, so I can just dump it, grab my other one, drop it in there and go. There's also the option of half moon. Well, I guess they probably don't make a half moon for a 5-shot. You got speed loader options. There's just, you know, this thing, I'm willing to bet that I can probably reload this faster than what I can reload one of these goofy little pocket guns. You know, this holds 6 rounds at 380, this holds 5 rounds at 357. I don't think there's anybody going to argue with me on the effective difference between a 357 Magnum and a 380. You can also put 38s in here and shoot it just fine. I don't believe in 38s as far as a self-defense option when you have 357 available. Don't get me wrong, 38, there's nothing wrong with 38, but I'm not going to load a 357 up with 38s. So, just some food for thought when you're buying. I hate to see people. That gentleman got taken for a ride when he bought those guns, or bought that gun. And don't get me wrong, I'm not bad mouthing the Ruger LCP. Great little gun, great little gun. I see a lot of people buying them. The Smith Bodyguard, great little gun. If you're willing to learn to shoot them. Now I will say, of all the triggers going out there, you know, these little Kel-Tecs, the Ruger LCR and the Smith, same thing. The Smith Bodyguard did the same thing. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see the hammer coming back to there? Okay, that's what I call staging it. What I'm getting a lot of people to do that are having trouble shooting these things accurately, and I do it myself, is I'm going to stage that hammer back and then put my sights on the target and then press the rest of the way through. What that's saving people from doing is moving the whole time they're pressing and pressing. That front of that barrel's doing this as they're pressing and pressing. I found that I can get, especially more inexperienced shooters that just are having, you know, they got a shotgun pattern going on the target instead of a group. But if you'll just learn where that back pressure is and stage that hammer, go ahead and figure out where you want your sights on the target, and then press the rest of the way through. That'll sure help you shoot these things. There's a quick little tip. So like I said, all you do is go ahead and, there's a line on your gun somewhere between the slide and the frame. That seems to be, on all the ones that I've seen so far, that seems to be the breaking point of, you know, right there's where the gun's getting ready to fire. Some people call it being up against the wall. But whatever, you need to figure out where that is on these little guns. And you know, you still need to maintain a really good grip on these guns. You need to truly get all the airspace you can closed. You need to get up on as high on the back strap as you can. You know, obviously, if we were going to shoot this to mitigate recoil the best we could, you know, we'd want it all in line with all these bones. But you know, so you'd hold the gun up here if it was possible, but it's not. So, you know, that's another reason why I kind of like the LCP, or this Diamondback, as opposed to the LCR and the Kel-Tec. If you can see, I'll try and get them lined up. You can get a much higher tang grip on this little Diamondback than you can on that LCR or the Kel-Tec here, which allows you to effectively mitigate recoil better. The other thing I like about this gun is, man, for you Glock guys, this thing is essentially a Glock. The trigger pull is, I mean, obviously not the same as a Glock. The mechanism's different inside of it. But the trigger pull on this gun is just comparatively phenomenal compared to these Kel-Tecs and these LCRs and the Smith Bodyguard. This is a consistent trigger pull. It doesn't stack. It's heavy trigger pull, don't get me wrong. There's no safe external defeatable safeties on this weapon system, so it just, the trigger pull is the same consistent trigger pull the whole way to the back, and then it breaks. You have to reobtain a full trigger length to get the trigger to reset. A little bit higher tang grip, a little bit more controllable in my hands. It really feels like a Glock to me. I'm going to sit down one of these days and do a little bit of cutting and try and get myself some sandpaper on there to get a little bit better grip on it. But phenomenal so far. Reliability is exceptional. You might look into these little Diamondbacks. The rumor mill, and I don't know if this is true, false, or whatever. The rumor mill is some guys that used to work for Glock in Smyrna, Georgia. I assume I said that right. Went down to Florida, opened up this Diamondback company, and started producing these things. But I'll tell you what, so far I'm impressed. So quick little review on some different little guns. Don't be afraid in the automatic world to go to a wheel gun. 60% of the time, this is what I carry, and I can solve most problems with 5 shots, 357 Magnum. Let me tell you. But appreciate you watching. Hope that's a little bit of food for thought. Whatever you're doing, if before you go out and buy one of these guns, especially if you're a first-time gun buyer, see if you can't find somebody to let you shoot it. Let you shoot several guns before you buy one of these things. Go to a range, it'll rent them, even if you got to drive. Rent some of these different things if you can't find somebody that's got one, and shoot these critters before you buy them and spend your money. And then, because once you buy a gun, it's a used gun. It doesn't even matter to a lot of people if you put a bullet down range in it. Once it's bought, it's used, and you're not going to get out of it what you paid for it, even on a trade. So do a little research, ask questions if you got questions. Feel free to instant message me or PM me or whatever you want to call. I've got a new website going with a new web forum. You get registration's free. Everybody's more than welcome to jump on, and I want to build a community there. It's just starting, so bear with it. But I'd like to build a community of some knowledgeable gun people on there that can help people out. So check that out. There'll be links below the video for all that. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe. If you don't. Appreciate a thumbs up, and have a good day.